All right. Hello, my name is Osborne, and this is a re-recording of the submission that I would like to make for Manifold Garden reverse reorder into SGDQ 2023. The reason that I'm re-recording it is because currently I'm now the world record holder for this category, 26:34:04, which is a world record by 3 seconds. Different. That's like a 3 second difference from the time of like submissions ending. And so at the time of recording, I currently am the world record holder of this category of 26 minutes and 34 seconds. And that's a thing that we're going to be analyzing today, that specific PB. And I'm really hoping that, I just wanted to give you an updated status of just my current speed with this game, my current personal best with this game, because I know that that's a thing that you might factor into making decisions when it comes to accepting one runner over the other or anything like that. So that's all. And we are going to go straight into the recording right here for Manifold Garden reverse tree order. And timing begins right when I start. So the very first thing I'm going to be seeing is it looks like a bunch of jump cuts. The reason that that's happening is because we actually are changing gravity. As you can see here, we're all in the same room, we're just changing gravity. And each plane of gravity has a color designated to it. For example, blue, and the blue cubes only work if you are on the blue plane of gravity. Like, you can't move them unless you're on the same plane of gravity as a specific cube. The red cubes only work on the red plane, the yellow cubes only work on the yellow plane, and so on and so forth. And gotta be adjusting the audio a little bit there due to my own voice, but right here, you already saw me do the trick that we're going to be seeing a lot throughout this run, called wall clipping. And wall clips essentially are exactly the way that they sound. They're wall clips that allow you to clip through a wall. Sometimes when you stand parallel against a wall and then move forward and then put down a cube, the cube will push you back and into the wall. It can only really be done in specific areas, and we're using most of those areas right here in the speedrun. For example, right here, and this particular wall clip and the wall clip that's coming next is the reason that this category is actually possible, is because in the physical level geometry of the level, we are able to go essentially immediately to the end of the game from the beginning of the game. And what I'm doing right there, trying to move the cube through, it actually gives me a good opportunity to explain this. I'm essentially just taking a screenshot and also interacting with the cube at the same time. And by doing that, you're able to essentially move the cube through the wall, clip the cube through after you clip yourself through. So that's something that we're going to be seeing a lot throughout this run. That the wall clips allow us to do so many things, allows this category to be possible. And so this is actually the last area of the game. Right here is the last puzzle of the game, and we're going to be solving it right here, right now, in order to get the Rainbow God Cube. And one thing that I mentioned here is like the jump cuts. The reason that the gravity looks like that is because we actually changed gravity from S curve, which actually shows you like the animation of gravity changing, to instant, which is just an instant jump cut in order to change gravity. This specific mechanic right here is depending on the way the cube is oriented. You're able to change the stream of water to go a specific direction. And we're going to leave that guy right here. And you want it to be a little bit to the left. If it's too far to the right, this won't work. In order to move a spinning cog, and that'll actually start an animation of the laser shooting and activating a pedestal in order to unlock this dirt crystal. But in order to skip that animation, we actually save and load to skip the animation in its entirety. And so now we're going to pick up the dark cube, and we're going to use this dark cube in order to unlock the tree that'll unlock the rainbow cube. And every time that you plant a dark cube into the tree, you're able to go through a wonderful, beautiful animation of the things that I forgot what the name of the things is called. But each tree after you plant a dark cube has this beautiful animation. It's a nice time for the audience to just admire what's going on, and also for some donations to be read, because these cutscenes usually go on for a generally long amount of time, and generally being like 20 to 30 seconds total. And so that's something that we're going to be seeing a lot throughout this run as well. However, we are not going to be seeing every single one of these cutscenes, because there are ways to skip them in specific sections. And also right now is pretty good time for donations, because usually at the end of an All God Cubes run, which is a category that has been shown off at a GDQ before, this particular area, once you collect the rainbow cubes, rainbow cubes last, you were able to just go immediately into. You're gonna go immediately to the end, and it takes like 50 seconds to get through here, and like it's just a really good area for donations. I'm getting a little bit disoriented by hearing my own voice, but I just want to be able to hear the audios for the game as well. So here's a pretty good first instance for donations as well. And the moment that we plant this rainbow cube into the pedestal, we're just going to change gravity to fall backwards. We could technically beat the game right now and like finish the entire game, the entire run, and so we're going to be going backwards, essentially right back to the area that we were at before, in order to collect the rest of the God cubes. And of course, the normal order, as you can see in my splits, is supposed to be from bottom to top: blue, red, green, yellow, purple, orange, and then rainbow at the very end. But rainbow, of course, being this is the first one, you saw that the cube was in the middle of the wall. But if it's in the middle of the wall, you can still like take it out, as long as it's not in the wall. It's perfectly fine. And now we're going to go to the first area again by clipping back into this area with this cube, like so. And I want you to remember that cube because we're going to come back to it later, believe it or not. And so now we're going to go essentially straight back to the beginning area by changing gravity, taking this cube, and we're actually going to be clipping into this this tower right here, because there's a secret area inside that tower that you probably actually didn't find in your casual playthrough, and thankfully we're able to use this to go to the orange cube area in order to collect that cube next. And you also see that we're using clever ways to change gravity, for example, using the door frames instead of large walls. As long as you are able to touch any particular platform within a specific plane of gravity, you can change gravity right then and there. And now we're going to be changing gravity by falling through this door in order to grab a cube inside of this room. And this particular cube is pretty important because we're going to be we're going to be wall clipping through that plane of glass with it at the very end of the wall. And this particular area allows us to go essentially directly to the orange cube area pretty instantly. And after that, we were actually able to do a lot more wall clipping as well in order to skip large parts of the large parts of the area, and make our way to the orange God cube. And whenever you see me falling is almost always going to be your fastest way. Whenever you can fall instead of walking to where you need to go, you should try and do it. The speed that you get when it comes to falling is something that's invaluable when it comes to the speed run, and including moments like that where it's just like a small fall forward. It's a little more risky, obviously. Like if you miss time your fall, you could be falling for longer than you probably want to. But since everything is infinite in every direction, usually if you mess up, it's pretty recoverable because you can just keep falling and eventually get back to where you were before. And we actually can wall clip with these dark cubes. In this specific run, I remember the dark cubes just not wanting to clip. Wall clips in like a sense are a little inconsistent. Like if you continue to wall clip with a cube, like you will almost 100% of the time be able to wall clip. It's just that sometimes the wall clips want to work first try, sometimes the wall clips don't want to work first try. It really depends on how the game's feeling, because it also depends on the positioning that you have in the level. Because whenever you save and load, it kind of resets your positioning in the level. Like it kind of resets your character, and it also messes with your character hitbox a little bit, and so that will affect your ability to do wall clips. However, we also kind of use that to our advantage in the speedrun with specific areas that you're going to be seeing, specific clips you're going to be seeing later in the game. And right here, we're just going to go straight to skipping this animation. And we're going to go straight to planting this orange dark cube in the pedestal. You killed a specific boss with a specific card. Can I have more context, please? And after doing that, once again, we're going to be falling backwards because, of course, we need to collect the rest of the cubes of the run. The clip with the dark cube took forever. Like so. And now we're going to go straight into purple. Purple, while it's still a pretty good split in this particular run, it's actually the area where we're going to be the most behind, and after that we're just going to keep gaining time, thankfully. And so we're going to use this door frame to change gravity twice, and then going into this main hub area through this door over here, opening that door and then using the wall to fall towards the room that'll take us to the yellow or the purple God cube. And right here is an introduction to another really cool glitch known as save warping. Essentially, when you save behind a portal, that leads you to another area, and then you load that save from in front of the portal, the game will save your positioning from both inside the room that you're in and the room that the portal leads to. And so when you load again, you are actually going to end up going to the other side of the portal into the next room that you want to be in. We're actually going to come back to this later, and we're going to be save warping again, doing the exact same thing, but just reversed. And now we're going to be introduced to gravity changers. This is like the only time in the speedrun, the one of two times in the speedrun where we really use it. And right here, we're going to be using the gravity changers in order to change the yellow cube into a red cube, and so it falls down the correct plane of gravity that we want it to. Using this cube to clip through this wall and grab the purple cube. This purple cube is actually going to come in handy a lot. Because it's going to be our first introduction to another new glitch similar to wall clipping known as tree clipping. Essentially is exactly what it sounds like. We're going to clip into this tree. However, the reason that we clip into this tree is because that's where the God cube is planted. Usually, you would have to go through the whole animation of planting the dark cube and going through that whole animation, the pretty animation, in order to collect the God cube. However, the actual physical God cube is still there. It only disappears after the cutscene, and the tree just gets rid of itself after the cutscene. And so the reason that we saved and load is because, as you can see right there at the bottom of the base of the tree, you can see the God cube kind of appearing out of its hip, like its hitbox is kind of appearing out of the tree at the very end, and that only spawns if you save and load. And so we're trying to clip into the tree right now. And the reason we save and load again is because usually, as I mentioned before, saving and loading kind of messes with your hitbox. And so we saw that we weren't successfully clipping in the first time around. And so whenever that doesn't happen for a few tries, in order to mend that issue, you can save and load. Ideally, obviously, you would want to clip into the tree without doing that. But as a backup, of course, you can just save and load. It can take anywhere between 1 and 4 reloads. Statistically speaking, it's incredibly rare that you get more than 4. Usually, if you reload 2 or 3 times max, it'll allow you to, and it doesn't really lose you that much time in a marathon setting. But of course, when it comes to PB settings, it only loses seconds, but it's seconds that build up. And now we're going to, after planting that purple cube and save warping again in order to plant the purple cube into the pedestal, we're going to go back and save warp through the exact door that we came in through, and we're going to go towards the yellow area. And this particular cube, the yellow cube, we're going to be getting in the quote intended way. Of course, we're going to be using wall clips and stuff to get there, but we're not going to be tree clipping into it. We're actually going to be planting the dark cube into the tree when we get there, is what I mean by quote intended. But of course, we're going to save warp once more. The intended way is, of course, solving a puzzle and using a red cube in order to open that door manually. But why would you do that when you can just save warp? So as you can see, we're 31 seconds behind PB, and that's that is the most behind where we're going to be for the rest of the run. I had to really resist the urge to reset, and I'm glad that I did because I ended up getting a world record. So this particular room, we're actually going to be solving the intended way. There is a door up there. You can probably think to yourself, why aren't we just save warping through it? And it's because we're going to actually come back into this room, and there's an important reason that you want to keep that door open. But right here, we're going to be just solving this puzzle the intended way by changing the gravity of that cube in order to have it land into the yellow pedestal up here. And now we're going to take this exact cube and boom, do that. And now we're going to be falling into this room. This is the main area in which I meant to solve a huge puzzle that led you to the yellow dark cube. But instead, we're going to use this dual gravity cube and grab it as it's falling. We use it as a platform in order to change gravity, but then we grab it as it's falling in order to get into the next room. And again, using it as a platform once more to change gravity. Thankfully, you can do that with cubes in this game. And we're going to be putting this particular cube in a very specific spot right there. And whenever the cube shares 2 colors, you can see that that's how it's going to That's how you know it's going to be able to fall both ways when it comes to changing gravity. We instantly got the wall clip into this room in order to collect these two blue cubes, which we actually wanted to use the yellow and green cube. We wanted to put it in a very specific spot, which we thankfully did. There's a reason for that. We'll come back to later. We got a almost third try, almost instant. Cube, like a wall clip with that particular cube, like just 3 tries. It took really quick tries, and now we're gonna be wall clipping into these stairs. That clip is dedicated to Amerlin. Amerlin, if you're watching this, I love you. And we're going to using that wall clip in order to grab those red cubes into the room, and we're going to be using this red cube in order to activate the laser. That'll activate this dark cube right here, and as soon as you see that third sound, and boom, you can collect the dark cube. And we're going to, just like we did in orange, we're going to be wall clipping into this next room with the yellow dark cube right here, like so. Again, this is another one where like the dark cubes just didn't want to participate in this game, and so like, what is going on with this game and clipping with dark cubes? Why does it not want to participate? You're right, it doesn't want to participate. I don't know if you heard that. I don't know how loud it was here, and like, I don't think it's enough time. Right here, we're saving time on this split, and of course we need to watch the yellow cube animation because we did it the quote intended way of actually planting the dark cube into the tree. The reason that we don't do it in specific areas is because it's generally more inconsistent, depending on the area that you do it in, and also depending on the category that you're doing it in, because we clip into different trees in all God cubes, and it's just generally we've found that this route tends to be faster. If you want to like avoid clipping in with the yellow cube as much as possible, like into the yellow tree, because that generally just becomes incredibly inconsistent. Like this particular tree, trying to clip into it can take upwards of like 20 tries, 20 reloads, and that in a grind setting, and especially in a marathon setting, just doesn't seem ideal. And so thankfully in this particular category, we have routed it so that you don't necessarily need to do that, and you can still complete the game in an optimal time. We're going to fall backwards because once again, why would we go forwards? We have things to do. We're going to grab 3 more God cubes, the green, red, and the blue. And from now on, we're not going to be like getting them like the quote intended way, as I've been saying. We're going to actually be tree clipping into each and every one of them. All of them have like various difficulties and consistencies as to how easy it is to clip into them, and that's actually right there the reason that we when we clipped into the room after that one, that we wanted to put the yellow and green dual gravity cube in a very specific spot that when we came back in the room it just falls down. And as you can see, that is the reason why we wanted to solve the initial room the intended way in order to keep that door open, because we wanted to bring the green and yellow cube with us right here. You can technically not fall through this area. As soon as that door opens, you actually have to walk through, because it's one of those few areas in which like there's an invisible wall dividing the portals, and so you can like there's like from one area to the next, and so if you try and fall, you'll just be stuck on the invisible wall, unfortunately. Right here is an area that's pretty familiar to most people if you've played all God cubes, or if you speedrun all God cubes, because this particular area, and generally speaking, aside from like very specific movements of getting from one area to the next, when it comes to once you're in the area of each dark cube or each God cube, the movement is generally the same as it is in all God cubes. Like once we get to the green cube area, we're gonna have similar movement. Once we get to the red cube area, we're gonna have similar movement as that. And so right here, we're going to be solving this next puzzle generally the quote intended way, but with faster movement, because we're going to be falling instead of walking, of course. And we want to align this particular blue cube with a specific spot in the floor so that it's so that as soon as we get rid of this bridge, it'll activate a switch that'll open this door. Generally speaking, if you have a pretty good guesstimate as to where the switch is, you can probably play it risky, but I tend to like actually try and see if I can look at it through the floor, the pattern on the floor of which is RNG. Like it changes every single time that you activate the bridge. And so right here, we're actually going straight into the next area for the green God cube. And this area, like solving this area is so long because it introduces the mechanic of like changing changing the direction of the water based on the orientation of your cube. And the puzzles that it takes for this area is so long, and thankfully the skips that we have for the to getting the green cube instantly is something that's like a godsend and saves so much time in comparison to the glitches category that we have, which is of course no wall clipping. We're going to be saving and loading again in order to have the green god cube spawn into the tree, and generally speaking you will almost never have to reload. It is almost always first try when it comes to green tree. And I'm pretty sure that's also like a thing that happens here. Like you can see, like on the first reload, we just have to try and clip in twice, and it almost instantly gets. And it's also the easiest god cube to actually take out of the tree. Generally speaking, when you want like aim at a specific part of the tree in order to grab the god cube, it's really difficult because it's like pixels on the screen that you are able to pick up the god cubes from, except for green cube, because green cube has like just a generally more generous hitbox in order to pick it up from. So I'm going to save warping in order to get into this room, because usually you'd have to like of course plant the dark cube in order to open that door that we're about to fall in through. And now we're gonna go straight into red, and as you can see, I got a gold there. We saved a lot of time. And now we're going to save warp back through this room that we came in from, or this door that we came in from, I should say. I get to spend part of my day at work just fooling around with video games. That's And after this save load, we're going to be changing gravity and going straight into the red cube area. We're actually not going to be save warping into it. We're going to be solving the puzzle generally as intended in this next room in order to get to the red god cube area. And this is another instance in which we're introduced to dual gravity cubes. This is for the orange and purple cubes right here, and falling our way through in order to grab them instead of walking. And this next area, we're going to plant this cube right here so that when we change gravity, it falls directly onto the switch. And we're going to be taking this red cube, and we're going to be putting it right in front of this cube right here so that it's like stops the cube from falling when we want the other cube to be falling down to the switch where we put it in midair. And we're going to be placing that cube here, opening the door, and coming through with this cube in order to wall clip through this window right here. I forgot, is this generous to us? It is, generally speaking. Also, Funko Pops. And now we're going to be using this exact same cube in order to clip in one time into this next room, which we're going to get a yellow cube and wall clip with this yellow cube in order to get down here and activate this switch that'll get us to the main area of the red god cube. And now we're going to be actually doing an audio puzzle in which you are leading a marble through a series of like of pipes, but since they're like square, you can hear them fall, and when it reaches the end of a particular section of the pipe, you can change gravity immediately in order to have it fall to the rest of the pipe. And instead of looking at where the marble is on each and every single one of the sections of the pipe, you can just listen to when it falls and hits a wall, and then that's when you can change gravity. Wall clipping into this room and then saving and loading once again to respawn the red god cube. And this is another one in which I have to reload. Generally speaking, it's almost you like almost never get this one first try. As you can see, generally you like coming at it at like a specific angle like I'm doing right now tends to help. Not always though, but we are going to try and wall clip. We're going to save and load one more time in order to try and mitigate the problem here. And then right immediately after the save load, as you can see, sometimes the save loading immediately makes it easier. And you can see that this is another example of like once you clip into the tree, like it's just barely, you need to like move your mouse around in order to get the god cube. It's from a very specific section in which the hitbox is just barely peeking out. And now we're going to be save warping again. And the direction that we're going to be going after planting this particular red cube or this particular god cube is going to be different. We're not going to go immediately backwards. Rather, we're going to be going forwards, because after you plant each and every god cube, it leads you to this central hub area. As you can see, each tree that you've planted a god cube as on a it's in this area. It's on like a different plane. And so we're actually going to be going back to the orange cube tree or orange god cube that we planted earlier to make the orange tree, and we're going to be coming back to this area. You might recognize this from the beginning of the run when we were at the orange cube section. And this particular section, we're going to be coming over to this other secret area that you probably haven't discovered in your playthrough, and we're going to be going back to what is essentially the beginning of the game and falling straight through here And remember this room? Remember this guy from earlier? I told you he's going to come in handy later, and he's going to come in handy right now. He helped us at the beginning of the run, and he's going to help us at the very end in order to grab the blue God Cube. And now we're going to be falling through here, and usually in all God Cubes or in any other category, you would go through here because this is like the beginning of the game. This is the first area you'd go through, and the blue God Cube is right underneath that section right over here. But so of course, reverse order allows us to get it last. And we're going to be saving and loading in order to have the God Cube respawn once more. Last time that we're going to be doing that. And the general lengths of the loading screens is really dependent on what area you're in. But thankfully, this one isn't that long. And now we're going to be clipping into the tree here. Thankfully, we didn't have to reload, and that kind of what like made it possible to get a record here. If I'm being completely frank. And now we're going to be loading and saving, save warping once more. And one thing you want to do is try and, again, clip the cube through by screenshotting like that. And you can see me freaking out a lot right here because I'm able to I'm getting really excited because like we are like in the process of golding and getting ahead right here. And so as soon as we plant that dark cube, you can see I got a pretty good gold there. And now we're going to do an interesting section that allows us to there's actually a fast travel area in every single section. That's what we're going to right now. And there's this little like diorama of each and every area in like there's sections that you can fast travel to. So at the center is the rainbow area, and that's where we fast travel to right now. A very beautiful animation of fast traveling there. And now we're going to be going down, and we're going to fall all the way through. That's another example of a portal that has like an invisible wall between one area and the next, and so you have to like configure yourself weirdly and change gravity again. As you can see, instead of walking up these stairs, we can finally fall through it so much faster. And we're going to do one last trick in the run in which we're going to be falling down. There's a large bridge at the end of this section, and we can actually skip this particular bridge because it's going to skip this particular bridge by passing over a gravity trigger that allows a trigger that prevents us from changing gravity. And so instead of walking on this bridge, we can just fall down the bridge. And so this is the final fall in the game. Timing will end in around 40 seconds, or exactly 38 seconds from right now. And so that is pretty much it for Manifold Garden Reverse Tree Order. And it's a very interesting speed run, particularly because it's another hectic speed run, and I know that this game has been shown off at GDQs before, but I think that like this particular category is probably the most interesting category that this game has to offer, particularly because of the nature of this particular category, in which you're playing the game from front. You're playing the game essentially in its entirety, but backwards. And so we are going to end time in 3, 2, 1, now. So that's Manifold Garden Reverse Tree Order. And I'm going to pause right there so we don't have to listen to my voice anymore because I get a bit disoriented when I have to talk over myself. But that is Manifold Garden Reverse Tree Order. I am hoping that like this re-record was worth the trouble, and that if at any point like the new world record, and because I know that Nerd Squared also had submitted this category, and so I don't know if it makes it more difficult or less difficult in order to choose which one of us to accept, but I'm hoping that I'm honestly just hoping that this category is shown up regardless. And so I'm Osborne, and this has been Manifold Garden Reverse Tree Order, and thank you so much for watching. Hope to impress if this gets accepted. So yeah, and especially because it's a lot similar to other games that I speedrun for y'all before, and so I'm super excited to be able to show this off if it does get accepted. And so yeah, I'll see you around. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, I'm Osborne. This has been Manifold Garden Reverse Tree Order. See ya.